This is a question from one of our retreat guests, a recent retreat guest at Cliff College, John, Monica, and she's been a very diligent learner on the meditation retreat, because she's learned from you your two most basic instructions. Guess what the first one is?
Feet on the ground.
Correct. Feet on the ground. She says she is practicing this and she gets rooted in her body. But then she accuses you of confusing it. The next instruction, she says, is rise above the clouds.
Yes.
So she's confused. Should she stay rooted, feet on the ground, or should she rise above the clouds?
Oh, I don't think I'm up to that sort of question. What on earth do I say to that? Well, dear, how about this? I've got my feet on the floor, on the ground here now, and that's helped me to be present. And then when I'm really present, I'm aware of this unchanging spiritual presence, which is not only above the clouds, but includes all the clouds. It includes everything, doesn't it? It includes the whole universe, doesn't it? And my feet are still on the ground throughout it all. So, of course, we're always getting confused. We think you have to take your body with you. But see, spiritual work is spiritual work. It's look, you can see me, you can see my face or here on the camera. I'm still sitting in my chair, aren't I? And yet here's this invisible sort of spirit, this bubble of spirit which I'm sitting in, which of course includes everything, doesn't it? So I'm both very, very little old man sitting in my chair, but I'm also this infinite spirit. And actually, as this gets ever less, this gets ever more. So sort of naturally, you die out of one and die into the other, as it were.
Thanks, John. So, practically speaking, would it be too simplistic to compare it to a rocket launch? First of all, you've got to get your rocket in position and grounded, so to speak. All systems go. You get takeoff.
Well, it's not quite the same, because in spirit, you don't have to take your rocket with you. You don't have to take any luggage with you at all. You leave all that behind, all the weight and complication and the money it takes to build the thing. No, you rise in consciousness, in spirit, which is here anywhere. It's not that you make spirit, or it's just that we've locked ourselves into this absence from spirit. So what we have to do is just let go. Open the door and boom, there we are. Freedom.
Monica acknowledges this, John, very, very clearly. She says, the basic instruction, feet on the ground, bottom on the chair, listen and look. So you become very present. When I sit in my room doing my meditation, listening to hear the silence beyond sounds or sensing the stillness that contains the candle's flickering movement, I seem to simply stay put and very still on earth, experiencing my body.
Well, be patient, dear. You haven't been doing it as long as I have. When you've been doing it for 60 years, you might find it as easy as I do. Take practice, you know.
She does add something very interesting here, John. It's not so much the consciousness is inside of her, if you like, in the head, as it's easy for us all to do, but it flips to she is in the boundless consciousness where there are, she says, no boundaries. They're impossible to find.
Well, there we are. She's answered her own question, hasn't she? She no longer needs to ask me. She knows. But of course, it's so surprising to us the first few times we experience this. We can't really accept it. It just seems too far outside the realm of our normal experience. So probably the main purpose of a spiritual guide of any sort is simply reassurance, to tell people that what they already know is okay. And she's going in the right direction. Just keep going.
You're very pragmatic with your advice to people, John. I notice over time, you persistently encourage people to find their own way. I mean, you give guide rails, but you encourage people to trust their own experience of the practice of meditation.
We learn by experience, don't we? If you just tell people, it goes in one ear and out of the other, doesn't it? Usually.
Monica says she recognizes that there is no apparent boundary to consciousness, but she doesn't have the sense of moving away or beyond or even towards anything. She feels very still and therefore stuck rather than rising in consciousness.
Oh, sweet. Oh, my dear, where do you think consciousness is? Where do you think God is? Up there somewhere in the sky. Why do you think I tell you to keep your feet on the ground? Because it's here and now. You can never be more or less consciousness than here and now. Look, I'm sitting in this room, aren't I? And what's this room full of? Space, isn't it? And what's space? Isn't space consciousness? Space is spirit, is stillness, is presence, is consciousness. It's here. You can't never be closer to it than where you are. You're sitting in it like a fish in the sea. It just needs recognizing. And this, of course, it can be very tricky because we're so used to thinking in terms of this or that or this or that or something, or I'm not conscious, or where is God, or I'm not religious or something like this. And all the time we're sitting in this ocean of consciousness. Like there's one of the stories I learned when I really started this work, the little young fish goes to the wise old fish and says, "Where is the ocean?"
She also makes what is for me a helpful observation, John, because she can't perceive any boundary to consciousness. Mm-hmm. It does beg the question, where does one end and the other begin? Mm-hmm. And so you have this idea, if two people are meditating together, is it two separate consciousnesses that are aware of? Or are they both meditating in the same ocean of consciousness?
Forgive my laughing, because yes, this is it just illustrates how completely absorbed we are in this idea that I'm separate. I've even got a different consciousness to you. I don't want the same consciousness as you. I don't like yours. Oh dear. Think of it like this, my dear. When you go outside, and you may not like the person you meet, but you're both under the same sky, aren't you? You can't get away from that. And even more unfortunately, you're both breathing the same air, whether you like it or not. Whether it's full of coronavirus bugs or not, you're still breathing the same air. And you're still receiving light from the same sun, aren't you? We can give God lots of different names and get all upset about it, but really, what are we talking about? How many? Are you sitting in a room by yourself? Or what are 2 or 3 other people with you?
Well,
You're
she
in
does.
the same room, aren't you?
She does reflect on when we were all meditating on the retreat together, in the same place. She says it feels very intimate, like our hearts are not separated, but linked and flowing together.
Well, see, when you come out, here again, when we meditate, oh, excuse me, I've got my gloves on, forgetting that. When you meditate, we let go like that, don't we? So when we let go, you come out of this sort of little solid cocoon called me, and you melt into this greater thing. And then, well, you're all in the same, we're all in the cart together, aren't we? All in the soup together. That's the expression, isn't it? Oh, the soup's just another word for spirit, isn't it?
I might not want to be in the same soup as you.
Well, exactly. I don't want to be the same as you. I'm not too keen on you.
At least we don't have to prove our Vax passport to enter the same consciousness, John.
No, isn't it marvelous? We don't even have to have a vaccination, do we? Don't have to have any credentials whatsoever.
I'm going to share something that she wrote to us, John. It's a prayer for realization that she is from the Buddhist tradition, but she's very sensitively inserted Jesus in there as well. So I'm going to read it out, this prayer for realization. Guru, Buddha, Jesus, precious teachers beyond compare, I open my heart and call to you. I open my heart to your merciful compassion, abandoning restlessness and remorse. By the power of your loving mercy, may self-clinging mind be left behind. By the power of your loving mercy, may contentment arise. By the power of your loving mercy, may all delusive thinking cease. By the power of your loving mercy, may confusion liberate itself. By the power of your loving mercy, may I realize that all being is unborn and undying in essence. By the power of your loving mercy, may all the forms of the world shine as truth.
These things are very good to sort of point you in the right direction. You know, they may even open the door of possibilities, but you've actually got to go out and walk through the door, haven't you? So it always comes back to this. You know, a lot of people spend a lot of time verbally saying what they would like or what they think ought to be done. But sooner or later, you've got to come back and walk through the door yourself. Look, my hand, this is the door. See my closed fists? I'm holding on, aren't I? It really, look, I'm holding on to my spectacles. No, they're my spectacles, and my spectacles can't see God, can they? Well, I can't see God without my spectacles, maybe, all right? But if I just do that, you see, fall away, don't they? It's freedom. Simple as that.
We can see the items on the shelf behind you now, John, which includes an elephant.
It does indeed.
And an icon and an egg.
My beloved elephant that my old dad gave me when I was a little boy. I've had it all my life. I love it. I remember once when I was in Africa and I was alone, and I had a little car, just a little one, and it was getting dusk, and there was a herd of elephants nearby. They were half hidden in the bushes and trees. I just sat there quietly, and a huge mother elephant with a little calf came out, stood really very near me, about as far, well, a bit further away than the computer from my nose, but not much further. And I looked in her eyes. There was one eye that was sort of looking at me. She looked at me. And I looked straight into that eye, into the ocean of love, unlimited love, pure love. And then you think of that love in an elephant's body, and it's exactly the same love that you sometimes see in, well, less often perhaps, in people's eyes. Certainly when you fall in love with a girl, you may see something of that in her eyes. How many loves are there? Just one love, isn't it, in all everything? One love, one consciousness, you see, everywhere. Dear elephants, dear creatures, dear everything. How can you not end up loving everything and everyone? Ultimately, there's no other possibility, is there? The only thing that what stops us is the covers in our own eyes. I suppose that's why Jesus said, to the pure, all things are pure. Pure love in everything.